Mayal Collins cleared out her locker at St. Mary's Hospital with tears in her eyes. 15 years of service ended with a pink slip and a small box of personal items. The hospital manager claimed it was budget cuts, but Maya knew better. She had spoken up too many times about the new rules that put money before patients. Her coworkers hugged her goodbye and promised to stay in touch, but Maya knew how these things went. Out of sight, out of mind, the drive to her small cottage took 30 minutes. Maya lived away from the city, preferring the quiet of the countryside and the fresh air. Her home wasn't much, just 2 bedrooms, a cozy living room, and a kitchen. That needed updating. But it was hers, or at least it would be after 15 more years of mortgage payments. Now, with no job, even next month's payment seemed impossible. Maya put her box of belongings on the kitchen table and looked out the window. The forest behind her house seemed to call to her. A hike might clear her head. She changed into jeans and a flannel shirt, filled a water bottle, grabbed a small first aid kit out of habit, and headed out the back door. The woods were quiet that afternoon. Birds sang in the trees, and the late summer sun made patterns on the ground through the leaves. Maya walked without thinking much about where she was going. Her mind kept going back to the hospital, to her patients, to the job she had lost. She had always wanted to be a nurse ever since she was a little girl. What would she do now? The sun was starting to set when Maya realized how far she had walked. She turned to head back home when she heard a strange sound. It was like a whimper, but not quite human and not quite animal. It came from a small cave formed by fallen rocks near the path. Maya hesitated. It was getting dark, and she should get home. But the sound came again, filled with pain. She couldn't ignore it. She took her phone out and turned on the flashlight, then carefully moved toward the cave. The light from her phone showed something that made Maya freeze. Inside the small cave was a creature about 2 feet long. It had shiny scales that changed colors in the light, from deep blue to purple to green. 2 tiny wings were folded against its back, and a long tail curled around its body. Blood seeped from several wounds that looked like bullet holes. A dragon? Maya whispered to herself. That's impossible. The creature's eyes opened at her voice. They were a bright amber color with vertical pupils like a cat's. It tried to move away from her, but it was too weak. It made that strange whimpering sound again. Maya's nursing instincts took over. This creature was hurt, and that was all that mattered. She didn't stop to think about how dragons weren't supposed to be real. She knelt down and spoke in a soft voice. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. I want to help. The dragon watched her with those intelligent eyes. It seemed to understand her. After a moment, it stopped trying to move away. Maya opened her first aid kit, but she knew it wouldn't be enough. I need to take you home to treat these wounds properly, she told the dragon. Will you let me carry you? To her surprise, the dragon gave what looked like a small nod. Very carefully, Maya took off her light jacket and wrapped it around the creature, trying not to touch its wounds. She gently lifted it, surprised by how light it was, and placed it in her backpack, leaving it open so the dragon could breathe. The walk home seemed to take forever. Maya moved as smoothly as possible to avoid causing more pain to her strange patient. By the time she reached her cottage, it was fully dark, and the dragon had passed out. Maya cleared her kitchen table and laid out clean towels. She placed the dragon on them and went to get her medical supplies. Over the years, she had built up quite a collection. She had suture kits, antibiotics, painkillers, 4 supplies, and more. Being the only nurse in the area meant neighbors sometimes came to her with minor emergencies. Instead of driving to the hospital first, Maya gave the dragon a small dose of painkillers mixed with water, using a dropper to get it down its throat. Then she cleaned each wound carefully. There were 3 bullet-like holes, 1 in the right wing and 2 along its side. Luckily, they had gone straight through without hitting anything vital, as far as she could tell. Maya stitched each wound with tiny, careful stitches. The dragon's scales were smooth under her fingers, warm like a reptile that had been lying in the sun. After bandaging the wounds, she set up a small fort to give the dragon fluids. She wasn't sure if dragon biology worked like human or animal. biology, but dehydration was bad for most living things. I hope I'm doing this right, she said to the unconscious creature. I've never had a dragon for a patient before. Once the dragon was stable, Maya made a soft bed for it using a small pet bed she had bought for a stray cat that sometimes visited. She placed it next to the couch in her living room and carefully moved the dragon there. Then she sat in the armchair beside it, planning to watch for just a few minutes to make sure it was breathing properly throughout the night. Maya woke every hour to check on her patient. Once, in the early hours of the morning, the dragon opened its eyes and looked at her. It made a soft sound, almost like words in a language Maya couldn't understand. Then it closed its eyes again and went back to sleep. By sunrise, Maya could see that the dragon was doing better. Its breathing was stronger, and when she checked the bandages, the bleeding had stopped. The dragon was sleeping peacefully now. Maya finally allowed herself to relax, sinking into her armchair. She was exhausted but satisfied that her patient would live. "What are you?" she whispered, watching the gentle rise and fall of the dragon's chest. "And what am I going to do with you when you're better?" As if in answer, the dragon's eyes opened. Again, it looked at Maya with those intelligent amber eyes, and she could have sworn it smiled. Then Maya's eyelids grew heavy, and she drifted off to sleep in the chair, unaware that her life was about to change forever. The sound of powerful engines woke Maya with a start. Her windows rattled, and the coffee mug on her side table vibrated across the surface. The dragon was awake too, its head raised and alert. Maya rushed to the window and pulled back the curtain. What she saw made her gasp and step back. Hovering above her front yard were 4 gleaming spacecraft, each one different but all clearly not from Earth. As Maya watched in shock, they began to land on her property, somehow avoiding her vegetable garden and the old oak tree she loved. Maya stood frozen at her window, unable to believe what she was seeing. 4 spacecraft had landed on her property. They were beautiful in a strange way, shining in the morning sun with colors that seemed to shift and change. They were each about the size of a luxury yacht, but their designs were like nothing Maya had ever seen before. One looked like it was made of crystal, another seemed to be partly alive with surfaces that moved like breathing skin. The small dragon on the pet bed was fully awake now, making excited chirping sounds. Maya looked back and forth between the dragon and the ships, her mind racing to connect the dots. Before she could decide what to do, the door of the first ship opened smoothly. A ramp extended to touch the ground, and a figure appeared. Maya gasped. The being walking down the ramp was clearly not human. It was tall and thin, with silvery blue skin that shimmered in the sunlight. It wore flowing robes covered with symbols that seemed to move and change as Maya watched. Behind this figure, doors on the other ships were opening too. I should hide, Maya thought, but her legs wouldn't move. The small dragon chirped louder, trying to get up from its bed. Stay still, Maya told it. Your wounds will open again. To her surprise, the dragon settled down, though it kept making soft sounds. Taking a deep breath, Maya walked to her front door. Whatever was happening, she would face it head-on. The blue-skinned being reached the bottom of the ramp and walked across her lawn with graceful steps. 3 other aliens had emerged from the other ships and were following. They were all different from each other. One had green skin with leaf-like patterns. Another looked almost human except for golden eyes that were too large. The third was shorter and rounder with skin that reminded Maya of polished copper. The blue alien stopped a respectful distance from her porch and bowed deeply. Nurse Maya Collins of Earth, it said in perfect English. I am Ambassador Elian of the Draconian Federation. We have come for Prince Zarathan. Maya blinked in surprise. How do you know my name? We scanned your dwelling, Ambassador Elian said, as if this was perfectly normal. We detected the life signature of our prince. Inside, we are most grateful for your assistance in his time of need. Prince? Maya looked back at the small dragon who was watching from inside the house. That's a prince. The heir to the galactic throne, said the green alien, stepping forward. I am Representative Loria of the Orion Alliance. Your actions have prevented a terrible crisis, the golden-eyed alien nodded. Counselor Vex of the Pleiadian Consortium. The Consortium extends its thanks for preserving the peace between our worlds. The copper-skinned alien made a gesture with its hands that seemed respectful. I am Delegate Kron of the Andromedan Council. Your planet has been of special interest to us for some time. Now we see that interest was well placed. Maya's head was spinning. Aliens were real. Dragons were real. And apparently she had been treating an alien dragon prince in her living room. She tried to think of something intelligent to say, but all that came out was, "Would you like to come in? It's not very big, but there's coffee." The aliens looked at each other, and Ambassador Alien's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "We would be honored," he said. Maya led the 4 aliens into her small cottage, suddenly very aware of the dirty dishes in her sink and the laundry she hadn't folded. The aliens didn't seem to notice as they gathered around the pet bed where the dragon prince lay. Ambassador Alien knelt beside the prince and placed a hand gently on the dragon's head. They seemed to communicate silently for a moment. Then the ambassador looked up at Maya with eyes that were solid blue without pupils. "You have treated his wounds with great skill. We have medical technology far beyond Earth's, but your care was exactly what he needed in those critical hours. The royal family will be forever grateful." "I just did what any nurse would do," Maya said, feeling awkward. "No," said Counselor Vex. "Many species would have reacted with fear or violence upon finding such a strange creature. Your compassion is notable." As they spoke, a strange thing began to happen. The small dragon's body started to glow with a soft light. The light grew brighter, forcing Maya to shield her eyes. When she looked again, the dragon was gone. In its place was a humanoid figure with subtle dragon-like features. He appeared to be a young man about Maya's age. His skin had a faint pattern of scales that caught the light like opals. His eyes were the same amber color with vertical pupils. His hair was dark with hints of blue and purple, and it moved slightly as if in a breeze, though the air in the room was still. "Prince Zarathan," Ambassador Alien said with another deep bow. The other aliens bowed as well. The prince sat up carefully, wincing a little at his wounds which were still visible on his now humanoid body. He looked at Maya with those strange, beautiful eyes. "Nurse Maya Collins," he said, his voice musical. "And Rich, I owe you my life." Maya felt her face grow warm. "You're welcome, Your Highness. I'm not sure how to address a dragon prince." Prince Zarathan smiled, showing teeth that were just a bit sharper than human teeth. "Zarathan is fine. The title is not important between life-debt friends." "Life debt?" Maya asked. "Among our people, saving a life creates a sacred bond, Ambassador," Alien explained, "especially the life of royalty." "I was on a diplomatic mission," Prince Zarathan said, "traveling in secret to meet with leaders of the 4 major galactic powers." He nodded toward the 4 aliens. "My ship was attacked by pirates who somehow knew my route. I escaped in a life pod, but it was damaged and crashed on your world." "Earth is considered a protected developing world," Delegate Kron added. "No official contact was planned for at least another 50 years, but circumstances have changed." "Protected?" Maya asked. "By who?" "By old spacefaring civilizations," Representative Loria said. "Your world has great potential, but is still working through some growing pains. We watch and occasionally guide, but direct intervention is forbidden. Until now," Counselor Vex said. "The prince's presence here changes things." Prince Zarathan tried to stand but swayed slightly. Maya immediately moved to support him, her nursing instincts taking over again. "You shouldn't be up yet," she said firmly. "Dragon or not, those wounds need time to heal." The aliens looked surprised at her tone, but Prince Zarathan laughed. "As forceful as any royal physician," he said, but he sat back down. "You are right." "Of course," Ambassador Alien stepped forward. "Prince Zarathan should return to the royal medical facilities as soon as possible, and we must discuss the diplomatic implications of these events." "Yes," said Representative Loria, looking at Maya with new interest. "A human has saved the draconian heir. This changes everything." Maya looked around her small living room, now filled with beings from across the galaxy. She still couldn't quite believe this was happening. Yesterday she had lost her job, and today aliens were sitting on her couch discussing galactic politics. It was too much to take in all at once. "I think I need to make that coffee now," she said. Retreating to her kitchen. As Maya filled the coffee pot with water, she heard the aliens continue their discussion. They spoke of treaties and alliances, of border disputes and trade agreements. It sounded very much like human politics, just on a much larger scale. Prince Zarathan occasionally joined the conversation, his musical voice carrying easily to the kitchen. Maya set out cups on a tray, then realized she had no idea if aliens could even drink coffee. She added a glass of water for each visitor just to be safe. When she returned to the living room, the conversation stopped. "Sorry to interrupt," Maya said, setting down the tray. "Not at all," Prince Zarathan said. "We were just discussing what happens next." He picked up a coffee cup and sniffed it curiously before taking a small sip. His eyes widened. "This is wonderful. What do you call this drink?" "It's coffee," Maya said, unable to hold back a smile at his reaction. "Most humans drink it in the morning." The other aliens cautiously tried the coffee as well. Ambassador Leon seemed to enjoy it, while Representative Loria made a face and quickly switched to water. Councillor Vex and Delegate Kron had no visible reaction. "Maya Collins," Ambassador Leon said, setting down his cup. "We have a matter of great importance to discuss with you." Maya sat down in her armchair, feeling suddenly nervous. "What kind of matter?" Prince Zarathan leaned forward. "My presence on Earth was not supposed to happen. According to the Protected Worlds Treaty, direct contact with humans is forbidden until your society reaches certain technological and social milestones. But now that contact has been made, we must decide how to proceed," Councillor Vex added. "The simplest solution would be to erase your memory of these events," Delegate Kron said, matter-of-faculty. Maya tensed. "I don't think I would like that." "It would be painless," Delegate Kron assured her. "That is not an option," Prince Zarathan said firmly. "Maya saved my life. The life debt cannot be erased, and I will not allow her memory to be tampered with." "Ambassador," Aaliyah nodded. "The prince is right. The life debt is sacred among Draconians. There are other options we can consider, such as—" Maya asked. Representative Loria set down her water glass. "You could come with us. Not as a prisoner," she added quickly, seeing Maya's expression. "As an honored guest of the Draconian Federation. Your actions have earned you a place among the stars, if you wish it." Maya looked around her small cottage. Just yesterday, her world had seemed to be falling apart. Now she was being offered a chance to see the stars. It was tempting, but also frightening. "What about my life here?" she asked. "What life?" Prince Zarathan asked gently. "You told me while treating my wounds that you had lost your job. You spoke of having few close friends or family ties. You said you felt trapped." Maya was surprised he had heard all that. She thought he had been unconscious while she worked and talked to herself. "Draconians can hear and understand even in states of deep healing," the prince explained, seeing her surprise. "I heard your story, Maya Collins. I heard your kindness and your loneliness." Maya felt tears forming in her eyes. He was right. There wasn't much holding her to Earth. Her parents had passed away years ago. She had no siblings. Her friends were mostly work colleagues who would soon forget her. Even her house wasn't really hers yet. "If I went with you," she said slowly, "what would I do out there among the stars? I'm just a nurse from a small town on a backward planet." The four alien representatives looked at each other, and something seemed to pass between them. "Ambassador." Elian spoke first. "Actually, your skills are quite valuable. Your willingness to treat an unknown species without fear or prejudice is rare, even among the most advanced civilizations." Councillor Vex nodded. "The Interspecies Medical Corps has long needed someone with your particular abilities. Many species are reluctant to treat those different from themselves." "What is the Interspecies Medical Corps?" Maya asked. "They provide medical care across the galaxy," Prince Zarathan explained. "They help species that are physiologically incompatible with each other. A Pleiadian doctor might not know how to treat a Draconian patient, for example." "And humans are somehow special in this regard?" Maya was confused. Your species has a unique adaptability, Ambassador Leon said. You also have an unusual ability to empathize with beings very different from yourselves. These are valuable traits in interspecies medicine. Plus, Prince Zarathan added with a smile, you have already proven your skill by saving me. Not many beings could have treated my wounds with such limited technology. Maya felt a strange mixture of pride and disbelief. Yesterday she had been fired for being too outspoken about patient care. Today she was being told her nursing skills were valued across the galaxy. Would I ever be able to come back to Earth? She asked. Of course, Representative Loria said. Earth would remain your homeworld. You would have the freedom to return whenever you wished. And as my personal physician, if you accept that role, you would have diplomatic status, Prince Zarathan added. You could live on any world in the Federation. Maya's head was spinning with possibilities. Your personal physician? But surely, you have doctors with much more advanced knowledge and technology. Knowledge and technology are not everything, the prince said. You treated me with compassion when you thought I was just a strange animal. That is the kind of care I want. This is a lot to take in, Maya said. How long do I have to decide? We must depart by tomorrow morning, Ambassador Leon said. Prince Zarathan's parents, the king and queen, are very concerned about his safety. We can give you until dawn, Counselor Vex added. Maya nodded. I'll have my answer by then? As the sun began to set, the alien representatives returned to their ships to give Maya time to think. Only Prince Zarathan remained in the cottage, his wounds still needing rest to heal completely. Maya made a simple dinner for them both, finding that the prince enjoyed earth food, especially sweet things. As they ate, Zarathan told Maya about his homeworld. He described crystal cities that floated among the clouds, forests where the trees grew upside down, and oceans filled with creatures that glowed in the dark. He spoke of his family, of his father's wisdom and his mother's kindness. He talked about growing up as a prince, the weight of responsibility and his desire to see the galaxy. In return, Maya told him more about her life. She described her years as a nurse, the patients she had helped, and the frustration of working in a system that often put profit before people. She talked about her dreams of making a difference, dreams that had seemed to die when she lost her. As the night grew late, Maya realized she had already made her decision. There was nothing left for her on Earth, and a whole galaxy waiting to be explored. She would go with Prince Zarathan and the others. She would become part of the interspecies medical corps and see what she could learn and teach among the stars. I've decided, she told the prince. I'll go with you tomorrow. Prince Zarathan smiled, his amber eyes glowing in the dim light. You won't regret it, Maya Collins? The galaxy has been waiting for someone like you. Maya woke early the next morning, her mind clear despite getting little sleep. She had spent most of the night making preparations to leave Earth. There wasn't much to do, really. She wrote a letter to her landlord explaining that she was moving away suddenly for a job opportunity. She packed a small bag with clothes, photos, and a few keepsakes. She made sure her bills were paid through the end of the month. Prince Zarathan watched her pack with interest, asking questions about each item she chose to bring. He was especially curious about a small stuffed bear that had belonged to Maya when she was a child. This is a toy? He asked, holding the worn teddy bear carefully in his scaled hands. Yes, children on Earth often sleep with stuffed animals, Maya explained. They provide comfort. The prince turned the bear over in his hands, his amber eyes thoughtful. We have similar comfort objects on my world, though they are usually living creatures that bond with children. I had a small flying lizard that slept on my pillow until I was nearly grown. Maya smiled at the image of a young dragon prince with a tiny pet lizard. Despite his alien appearance and royal status, there were moments when Zarathan seemed very relatable. As the sun began to rise, Maya took one last walk through her cottage. She ran her fingers along the kitchen counter where she had made countless meals. She looked out the window at the garden she had planted 3 summers ago. She stood in the doorway of her bedroom, remembering peaceful nights and lonely mornings. Are you having second thoughts? Prince Zarethan asked, coming to stand beside her. Maya shook her head. Not really. I'm just saying goodbye. This was my first real home of my own. The concept of home is important to humans, the prince observed. Isn't it important to your people too? Yes, but differently. Draconians are more connected to our family groups than to physical places. Home is where your nest kin are, not where your possessions reside. Maya thought about that as she locked her front door for the last time. She had no nest kin, as Zarethan would put it. Perhaps that was why leaving felt bittersweet but not heartbreaking. The 4 spaceships still rested on her lawn, gleaming in the morning light. As Maya and Prince Zarethan approached, the alien representatives emerged to greet them. They all wore different clothing today, though still in styles unlike anything on Earth. Nurse Maya Collins, Ambassador Leon said with a formal bow. Have you reached a decision? I have, Maya said, straightening her shoulders. I accept your offer. I will join the Interspecies Medical Corps and serve as Prince Zarethan's physician, if he'll have me. The prince smiled, showing those slightly sharp teeth. Nothing would please me more. Excellent, said Counselor Vex. The Pleiadian Consortium welcomes your expertise. Representative Loria stepped forward. Before we depart, there are some practical matters to address. Maya Collins will need proper documentation, translation technology, and medical clearance. And appropriate living arrangements, added Delegate Kron. Where will she reside? On the prince's homeworld or at the Galactic Hub? The aliens began discussing options, talking over each other with increasing volume. Maya looked at Prince Zarethan, who rolled his eyes in a surprisingly human gesture. Perhaps, the prince said, raising his voice slightly, we should allow Maya to decide where she wishes to live. The representatives fell silent, looking slightly embarrassed. Thank you, Maya said to the prince before addressing the group. I think I would like to spend some time at this galactic hub I've heard mentioned. It sounds like a good place to learn about different species and their medical needs. But I would also like to visit the prince's homeworld and anywhere else. I might be useful, Ambassador Leon nodded approvingly. A wise approach. The Galactic Hub is indeed an excellent place to begin your education. It is a space station where representatives from thousands of worlds come together to trade, learn, and resolve conflicts. I have quarters there that are rarely used, Prince Zarethan added. You are welcome to them, and I can arrange for human-compatible furnishings and food. Speaking of food, Representative Loria said, we should discuss dietary requirements. Not all species can safely consume the same substances. I've already scanned Earth's common food sources, Counselor Vex said. Most will need to be synthesized for nutritional compatibility, but the flavors can be preserved. Maya hadn't even thought about food. There were so many practical concerns to living in space that she had never considered. What about air, water, gravity? Would she need special medications or treatments to survive in alien environments? Seeing her expression, Prince Zarethan placed a gentle hand on her arm. Do not worry. These are all standard considerations for interspecies travel. The Galactic Hub is designed to accommodate many different life forms. You will be quite comfortable there. Maya nodded, grateful for his reassurance. What about my legal status? Will I be a citizen somewhere? Will I need a passport or whatever the galactic equivalent is? You will be granted diplomatic status. As a member of the Draconian royal household, Ambassador Leon explained, this will give you protection and legal standing throughout known space. And as a member of the Interspecies Medical Corps, you will have additional credentials, added Delegate Kron. These are recognized even in regions where Draconian authority is not. It's all happening so fast, Maya said, feeling overwhelmed again. We can delay departure if you need more time, Prince Zarethan offered. Maya took a deep breath and shook her head. No, I'm ready. It's just a lot to take in. Then let us proceed, Ambassador Leon said. Maya Collins, you will travel on the prince's vessel. Your belongings will be brought aboard, and we will depart as soon as the medical team has checked the prince's condition. Maya followed Prince Zarethan toward the crystal-like ship. As they approached, a ramp extended smoothly to the ground. The interior of the ship was nothing like Maya had imagined. Instead of the cold, metallic corridors of science fiction movies, the walls were curved and seemed almost alive. They glowed with a soft light that changed color subtly as they walked. This way to the medical bay, Prince Zarathan said, leading her down a hallway. My physicians will want to examine my wounds, and they can begin your medical orientation at the same time. The medical bay was a large room filled with equipment Maya didn't recognize. 3 beings who looked similar to Ambassador Leon but with darker blue skin were waiting for them. They bowed to the prince and looked curiously at Maya. This is Nurse Maya Collins of Earth, Prince Zarathan introduced her. She saved my life and will be joining the Interspecies Medical Corps as my personal physician. The 3 blue aliens introduced themselves with names Maya couldn't pronounce. They spoke a musical language to each other, then one of them approached, with a small device in hand. This is a translator, Prince Zarathan explained. It will allow you to understand and speak any language used in civilized space. The alien placed the device against Maya's neck, where it adhered gently to her skin. It felt warm for a moment, then cool. Suddenly, the musical language the aliens were speaking became clear words in her mind. The human's biology is fascinating. One was saying, such inefficient oxygen processing, but remarkably adaptable. Be respectful, another replied. This human saved our prince. Maya looked at Prince Zarathan in amazement. I can understand them. The prince smiled. And now they can understand you in any language you choose to speak. As the ship's medical team examined the prince's healing wounds, Maya watched and asked questions. The technology they used was far beyond anything on Earth, yet the principles were often similar. They were concerned with infection, tissue regeneration, pain management, all familiar concepts to a human nurse. You see, Prince Zarathan said as the examination concluded, medicine has universal constants, even across the stars. That is why your skills will be valuable. Before Maya could respond, the ship trembled slightly. A voice spoke from the air. Around them. All systems ready for departure, Your Highness. The other representatives are returning to their vessels. Very good, Prince Zarathan replied. Begin launch sequence. Maya felt a sudden flutter of panic. This was really happening. She was about to leave Earth, perhaps forever. Wait, she said. Can I see outside one more time, to say goodbye? The prince nodded understanding. Of course. Follow me. Prince Zarathan led Maya to a small room near the front of the ship. One entire wall was transparent, offering a clear view of her cottage and the surrounding countryside. The other 3 alien ships were visible as well, their strange designs. Catching the morning light. This is the observation deck, the prince explained. Once we leave Earth's atmosphere, the view will be quite spectacular. Maya pressed her hand against the transparent wall. From this height, she could see her vegetable garden, the forest path where she had found Zarathan, and even the small town in the distance where she had worked as a nurse for so many years. It looks so peaceful from up here, she said softly. You would never know about all the problems and conflicts. It is the same on most worlds, Prince Zarathan said, standing beside her. Distance provides perspective. A gentle vibration ran through the ship, and the voice from before spoke again. Final preparations complete, Your Highness. The diplomatic vessels are ready to depart. Proceed, the prince responded. There was no sudden jolt, no roaring of engines. The ship simply began to rise smoothly into the air. Maya watched as her cottage grew smaller below them. The forest became a green patch, and the town a tiny cluster of buildings. Clouds surrounded them briefly, and then they were above them, the sky darkening from blue to deep purple to black. Would you like to see Earth from orbit? Prince Zarathan asked. It is quite beautiful. Maya nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. The view changed as the ship oriented itself, and suddenly there it was Earth, a blue and white sphere hanging in the blackness of space. Maya had seen pictures taken by astronauts, of course, but nothing could prepare her for seeing her home planet with her own eyes. It's so beautiful, she whispered, and so small. Yet it contains such diversity of life and culture, the prince said. Earth is well regarded for this among those who study developing worlds. They stood in silence for a few minutes, watching Earth slowly turn below them. The other three ships came into view, taking positions around the prince's vessel. The royal escort is assembled, the voice announced. FTL drives charging. FTL? Maya asked. Faster than light, Prince Zarathan explained. We will be traveling to the Galactic Hub, which is located near the center of the galaxy. Without FTL technology, the journey would take thousands of years. Maya tried to wrap her mind around the distances involved. Just yesterday, a 30-minute drive to work had seemed like a long commute. Now, she was about to travel thousands of light years. Will it take long? She asked. About 3 Earth days, the prince said. The hub is quite distant, and we will need to make several jumps through regulated FTL corridors. The ship vibrated again, more strongly this time. The stars outside the window suddenly stretched into lines of light, and Earth vanished from view. Maya felt a brief sensation of pressure, then nothing unusual. We are now traveling faster than light, Prince Zarathan announced. The artificial gravity and inertial dampeners make it feel no different than standing still, but we are moving at speeds that would be difficult for you to comprehend. I certainly can't feel it, Maya agreed. It's nothing like an airplane taking off. Would you like a tour of the ship? It will be your home for the next few days. Maya nodded eagerly. Prince Zarathan showed her through the various sections of his vessel. There was a command center where blue-skinned crew members monitored countless displays. There were living quarters for the prince and his staff, gardens with strange plants that provided oxygen and food, and even a small library filled with crystal devices that apparently contained books. And these will be your quarters during the journey, the prince said, leading her into a comfortable room. It had been hastily adapted for human use, with a bed that looked almost normal and a bathroom that had recognizable fixtures despite some odd colors and shapes. Someone brought your bag from outside? Zarathan added, pointing to Maya's small suitcase sitting on the bed. Is there anything else you require? Maya looked around the room, still trying to process everything that had happened. I think I'm good for now. Thank you. I will leave you to rest then. When you are ready to continue your orientation, simply speak to the room, and someone will come to assist you. After the prince left, Maya sat on the edge of the bed. The reality of her situation was finally sinking in. She was on an alien spaceship heading to the center of the galaxy. She had left behind everything she knew. The thought was both terrifying and exhilarating. She unpacked her few belongings, placing her childhood teddy bear on the pillow and a photo of her parents on a shelf. The familiar items made the strange room feel a little more like her own space. Over the next 3 days, Maya fell into a routine of sorts. In the mornings, she would visit the medical bay to learn about alien physiology and treatment techniques. The draconian doctors were impressed by her quick understanding and willingness to ask questions. In the afternoons, she would often join Prince Zarathan for meals and conversation, learning about the cultures and species she would soon encounter. The Galactic Hub houses representatives from over 10,000 worlds, the prince told her during one such meal. Not all are humanoid. Some breathe different gases, live in different gravities, or perceive reality in ways that might seem strange. To you, how will I be able to help treat them if they're so different? Maya asked. The Interspecies Medical Corps works in teams, Zarathan explained. You will be paired with specialists who understand the unique needs of different species. Your role will be to provide the perspective that many other medical practitioners lack the ability to see beyond physical differences to the patient underneath. On the evening of the 3rd day, Prince Zarathan came to Maya's quarters personally. We are approaching the Galactic Hub, he said. Would you like to watch our arrival from the observation deck? Maya followed him eagerly. When they reached the transparent wall, the view took her breath away. The stretched star lines had returned to normal, and before them floated an enormous structure. It looked like a giant wheel in space, spinning slowly to create artificial gravity. Lights glittered across its surface, and ships of all shapes and sizes moved around it in orderly patterns. It's huge, Maya gasped. Home to over 20 million beings, the prince said proudly. The greatest achievement of interspecies cooperation in the known galaxy. As their ship approached the hub, Maya could see more details. There were docking bays large enough to accommodate vessels many times the size of their own. Gardens and parks were visible under transparent domes. Towers reached from the outer rim toward the center like spokes on a wheel. Where will I be working? She asked. Prince Earthen pointed to a section of the wheel where a large red symbol was visible. The medical quarter. It contains treatment, facilities for all known species, research laboratories, and training centers. The Interspecies Medical Corps has its headquarters there. Their ship slowed as it approached a docking bay. Maya felt a slight bump as they connected with the station. Welcome to the Galactic Hub, Your Highness, the ship's voice announced. Local authorities have been notified of your arrival. A reception committee awaits you and your human guest. Maya felt suddenly nervous. A reception committee? I thought I would have some time to adjust before meeting lots of new people. News of your rescue of a draconian prince has spread, Zarathan said with an apologetic smile. You are something of a celebrity now. Great, Maya muttered. No pressure or anything. The prince laughed. You will do fine. Just be yourself, the compassionate healer who saved my life without a second thought. As they walked toward the ship's exit, Maya thought about how much her life had changed in just a few days. From fired nurse to alien medical specialist and royal physician. From a small cottage on Earth to a massive space station at the heart of the galaxy. The door opened, revealing a group of diverse beings waiting on the other side. Some looked almost human, others were completely alien. All were watching her with expressions of curiosity and interest. Prince Zarathan stepped forward, and the group bowed deeply. Then he turned and held out his hand to Maya. Are you ready to begin your new life among the stars? Maya took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and took his hand. As ready as I'll ever be. Together they stepped through the doorway, leaving Earth and all its limitations behind. Whatever challenges awaited her in this new life, Maya knew one thing for certain: she would face them with the same compassion and determination that had led her to help a wounded dragon in the first place. And somewhere in the back of her mind, she couldn't help but think how ironic it was. If she hadn't been fired from her job, she would never have gone hiking that day. She would never have found Zarathan. She would never have discovered that she had a place in the stars. Sometimes Maya realized what seems like the end of one story is really just the beginning of a much bigger adventure.